My manager embarrassed me on the office floor, calling me disposable. 9 months later, I quit publicly after building income streams that erased his authority. You think you're special? You're replaceable. I could hire 3 fresh grads tomorrow who'd do your job for half the salary. The conference room went silent. Everyone heard it. My manager, Derek, stood there with his arms crossed, smirking like he'd just won something. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. I was 28, single, and staring at a career I'd spent 4 years building in this marketing firm. One public humiliation away from losing everything I'd worked for. I asked for a raise based on the campaign results. I said, keeping my voice steady. The metrics speak for themselves. Derek laughed. Actually laughed. Metrics don't speak, kid. I do. And what I'm saying is you're not as valuable as you think you are. He turned to the rest of the team sitting around the table. Let this be a lesson to all of you. Nobody here is irreplaceable. The company was here before you, and it'll be here long after. I felt my face burning. 6 other people in that room, and not one of them made eye contact with me. Derek dismissed everyone, and I walked back to my desk like I was on autopilot. My hands were shaking. Not from fear, from rage. I'd brought in 3 major clients in the past year. My campaigns had generated over $2 million in revenue. And this is what I got for asking to be compensated fairly? Public humiliation. I sat at my desk and opened my laptop. Then I did something I should have done months ago. I started looking at my options. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying Derek's words in my head. Replaceable. Disposable. 3 fresh grads for half my salary. I'd heard rumors about Derek before I joined the company. That he was a micromanager. That he had a temper. That he liked to keep people afraid so they wouldn't ask for more. But I thought if I worked hard enough, if I produced results, I'd be different. I'd be the exception. I was wrong. Around 2 a.m., I opened my laptop again. I started researching freelancing platforms, consulting opportunities, affiliate marketing, online courses, everything I'd been too busy to explore because I was pouring all my energy into a company that saw me as expendable. By sunrise, I had a plan, not a fantasy, a plan. I wasn't going to quit in anger. I wasn't going to send some dramatic resignation email. I was going to build something on the side, quietly, until I had enough income to walk away on my terms. And when I did, Derek would know exactly what he lost. The next morning, I showed up to work like nothing happened. Derek didn't apologize, didn't even acknowledge what he'd said. He just handed me another project with an impossible deadline. Need this done by Friday, he said. Client's getting antsy. I nodded. Got it. He walked away, already on his phone, barking orders at someone else. I pulled up the project specs and got to work. But this time, something was different. I wasn't doing it for him. I wasn't doing it for the company. I was doing it for me. Because every successful project was a case study I could use later. Every campaign was proof of what I could deliver independently. I started treating my job like a paid training program. And at night, I built my exit strategy. First, I set up a freelance profile on 3 platforms. I used my real portfolio but kept my current employer anonymous. Within 2 weeks, I had my first client. A small business owner who needed help with their social media strategy. The pay wasn't great, but it was a start. I worked on it after hours, on weekends, during lunch breaks. Then I got a second client. Then a third. By month 2, I was pulling in an extra $1,500 a month. By month 3, it was $3,000. I reinvested everything into learning. Courses on SEO, Facebook ads, email marketing funnels. I became obsessed. Not with the money, though that was nice. With the control. For the first time in my career, I wasn't waiting for someone else to decide my worth. I was building it myself. At work, Derek kept piling on projects. He seemed to enjoy it, like he was testing how much I could take before I broke. One afternoon, he called me into his office. Close the door, he said. I did. He leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled like some corporate villain. I'm going to be real with you, he started. You've been doing solid work lately. Real solid. I waited. But I need you to understand something. This company runs on loyalty, not just performance. Loyalty. I still didn't say anything. When you asked for that raise a few months back, it wasn't about the money. It was about the attitude. Like you thought you deserved special treatment. He paused, watching my reaction. I gave him nothing. So here's the deal, he continued. You keep your head down, keep delivering, and maybe in a year or 2, we can revisit compensation. But you gotta earn it. Prove you're a team player. I nodded slowly. Understood. He smiled. Good. That's what I like to hear. Now get back to it. I walked out of his office and went straight to the bathroom, locked myself in a stall, and I laughed. Actually laughed. Because Derek had no idea. No idea that I'd just signed my 5th freelance client that morning. No idea that my side income was about to hit $4,000 a month. No idea that I was 3 months away from replacing my full-time salary. He thought he had me trapped. He thought I needed him, but I was already gone. I just hadn't told him yet. By month 6, I was making $6,500 a month from freelancing and a small affiliate marketing site I'd built. I'd also started a YouTube channel sharing marketing tips. It only had 3,000 subscribers, but it was growing. And it was mine. At work, Derek promoted someone else. A guy named Trevor who'd been there half as long as me and brought in a quarter of the revenue. But Trevor played golf with Derek on weekends. Trevor laughed at his jokes. Trevor was a team player. The announcement came during our Monday morning meeting. I'm excited to announce that Trevor will be stepping into the senior strategist role, Derek said, clapping Trevor on the shoulder. He's really embodied the company values, and I think he's going to do great things in this position. Trevor grinned like he'd won the lottery. A few people clapped. I didn't. Derek noticed. Something wrong? He asked, looking directly at me. I shook my head. Nope. Congrats, Trevor. Derek's eyes lingered on me for a second longer, then he moved on. After the meeting, one of my coworkers, Danielle, pulled me aside. That's bullshit, she whispered. Everyone knows you should have gotten that role. I shrugged. It is what it is. You're not even mad? I smiled. Not really. She looked confused. Why not? Because I don't need it anymore. She frowned, but I didn't explain. There was no point. By month 8, my side income hit $9,000 a month. I'd launched a small digital product, a marketing template pack, that was selling consistently. My YouTube channel hit 10,000 subscribers. And I'd started getting inquiries from companies wanting to hire me as a consultant. Real companies. With real budgets. I was working 60-hour weeks between my job and my side projects, but I didn't care. Because I could see the finish line. One more month, and I'd have enough saved and enough consistent income to walk away completely. Then Derek made a mistake. A big one. It was a Wednesday afternoon. I was at my desk, finishing up a campaign report, when Derek stormed over. Conference room. Now. I followed him in. He slammed the door. You want to tell me why the Henderson account is threatening to pull out? I blinked. What? They said the last campaign underperformed. That the messaging was off-brand. That we didn't deliver what we promised. I pulled up my files on my laptop. That's not possible. I followed their brief exactly. The engagement metrics exceeded projections by 30%. Derek snatched my laptop and looked at the screen. Then he shoved it back at me. I don't care about your metrics. The client is unhappy. And that reflects on me. Did you ask them specifically what they didn't like? I don't need to ask them anything. I need you to fix it. I stayed calm. I can schedule a call with them and go through the data. If there's a miscommunication, we can address it. Derek stepped closer. You're not listening. I don't need you to schedule a call. I need you to take responsibility and fix this before it blows up in my face. I met his eyes. I'll handle it. He jabbed a finger at me. You better. Because if we lose this account, it's on you. He left. I sat there for a moment, then pulled up the Henderson account files. I went through every email, every deliverable, every piece of communication. Everything was documented. Everything matched their requests. I called the client directly. Hi, this is calling from the marketing team. I heard there might be some concerns about the recent campaign. The client, a woman named Patricia, sounded surprised. Concerns? No, we've been thrilled with the results. Who told you there were concerns? I paused. My manager mentioned you were considering pulling the account. She laughed. That's news to me. We actually just approved the next quarter's budget yesterday. Your work has been excellent. I thanked her and hung up. Then I sat back in my chair. Derek had lied. Completely fabricated a crisis to yell at me. Maybe to assert dominance. Maybe because he was having a bad day and needed someone to blame. It didn't matter. I opened my calendar and blocked off a meeting with HR for the following Monday. 2 weeks later, I walked into work with a printed resignation letter in my bag. But I wasn't going to hand it to HR quietly. I was going to do this right. We had our monthly all-hands meeting that afternoon. The entire office, about 40 people, gathered in the main conference room. Derek stood at the front, going through the usual updates. Revenue numbers, client wins, company goals. Then he opened the floor for questions. I raised my hand. He looked surprised but nodded at me. Yeah, go ahead. I stood up. I just wanted to take a moment to address something publicly, since this is where I was publicly called replaceable 9 months ago. The room went dead silent. Derek's face changed. I don't think this is the appropriate. I kept talking. 9 months ago, I asked for a raise based on performance. And in front of my peers, I was told I was disposable. That 3 fresh grads could do my job for half the salary. People shifted in their seats. Some looked at Derek. Some looked at me. So I want to thank you, Derek, for that wake-up call. Because you were right about one thing. I didn't need this company to define my value. I pulled the resignation letter from my bag and held it up. Over the past 9 months, I built a freelance consulting business that generates more than double what I make here. I've worked with clients who actually value what I bring to the table. And I've learned that I'm not disposable. I'm just done being treated like I am. Derek's jaw was tight. If you're resigning, you can do it privately. I smiled. You didn't humiliate me privately. So no, I don't think I will. I placed the letter on the table in front of me. Effective immediately, I resign. I'll forward all my current projects to Trevor. I'm sure he'll do great. I grabbed my bag and walked toward the door. Nobody said anything. Not until I was halfway out. Then Danielle started clapping. Slowly at first. Then a few other people joined. Not everyone, but enough. Derek's face turned red, but he didn't say a word. I walked out of that building and didn't look back. The next few weeks were surreal. I got messages from at least 5 people who worked at the company. Some congratulated me. Some said they wished they had the guts to do the same. One person asked if I was hiring. I wasn't, not yet, but I told them to stay in touch. My freelance business kept growing. Within 3 months, I was making $15,000 a month. I hired a virtual assistant. Started turning down clients that didn't align with what I wanted to build. I had control over my time, my income, and my future. Everything Derek said I'd never have. About 6 months after I quit, I got a LinkedIn message. It was from someone who still worked at the company. Thought you'd want to know? Derek got demoted. New leadership came in and restructured. He's no longer a manager. I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to feel vindicated. But honestly, I just felt nothing. Derek didn't matter anymore. What he said didn't matter. His authority was gone the moment I stopped giving it to him. I closed the message and got back to work. My work. On my terms. A year after I quit, I was running a 6-figure business. I'd published an online course that was generating passive income. My YouTube channel hit 50,000 subscribers. And I'd hired 2 freelancers to help manage client work. I was invited to speak at a marketing conference. Nothing huge, just a regional event, but it felt significant. During my talk, I shared my story. Not to trash Derek or the company, but to make a point. Your value isn't determined by someone else's inability to see it. I said, if you're waiting for permission to bet on yourself, you're going to wait forever. After the event, a young guy approached me. He looked like he was fresh out of college. That story you told, he said, about your manager calling you replaceable. Did that really happen? I nodded. Every word. He looked down. My boss said something similar to me last week. Told me I was lucky to even have the job. I handed him my card. Then start building your exit. Not out of anger. Out of strategy. Prove to yourself that you're not what they said you are. He took the card and thanked me. I watched him walk away and realized something. Derek did me a favor. He broke the illusion that hard work alone would be rewarded. That loyalty to a company would be returned. That someone else would ever care about my career as much as I did. He humiliated me in front of my peers. And in doing so, he set me free. I don't know where Derek is now. I don't check. I don't care. Because the best revenge wasn't proving him wrong. It was building a life where his opinion became irrelevant. I'm 30 now. I work from wherever I want. I choose my clients. I set my rates. And when I think about that day in the conference room, when Derek stood over me and called me replaceable, I smile. Because he was wrong. I wasn't replaceable. I was just in the wrong place. And the moment I realized that, everything changed.